All right, let's talk about stem cells. You've probably heard the term thrown around a lot. It's one of the most exciting and, yeah, sometimes controversial fields in all of modern medicine. So today, we're going to break it all down. What they are, what they do, and why they might just be the key to the future of healing as we know it.
But before we get into the nitty-gritty, let me ask you something. What if? What if our bodies could heal themselves from the inside out? And I'm not talking about just scabbing over a cut. I mean truly regenerating damaged organs, reversing paralysis, maybe even fixing a broken heart. I know, it sounds like something straight out of a movie, but that's the fundamental promise of stem cell tech.
So what exactly is a stem cell? Well, the easiest way to think about it is like the body's master building block. It's a totally unspecialized, kind of blank cell, one that hasn't decided what it wants to be when it grows up. And it's that unique status that lets it act as our body's own internal repair crew, just waiting to be called into action whenever tissues get worn out or damaged. Okay, so to really get why these cells are such a big deal, we got to look at what makes them the body's master key, right? How they unlock the secrets of cellular repair. And it really just boils down to two incredible abilities. These cells have basically two key superpowers. First up, you've got self-renewal. This means a stem cell can divide and make perfect copies of itself again and again and again, all while staying a blank slate, super important. The second superpower is potency. This is its amazing ability to differentiate, to actually transform from that blank slate into something totally specialized. We're talking a brain cell, a heart cell, or even a skin cell. Now, it's important to know that not all stem cells are created equal. There are two main types you'll hear about. On one hand, you have embryonic stem cells. These are the ultimate jack of all trades. They're pluripotent, which is a fancy way of saying they can become any cell type in the entire body. Anything. Then you have adult stem cells, which we find in places like our bone marrow. These guys are multipotent, still super powerful, but they're a bit more limited. They can typically only create the cell types from the tissue where they originated. Okay, so that's the theory, right? But let's bring this out of the lab and into the real world. Let's look at how this amazing science is already being used in medicine today. And you know what? You're probably more familiar with this than you even realize. Bone marrow transplants, which are basically stem cell transplants, have been used for decades to treat things like leukemia. But it doesn't stop there. They're used for blood disorders like sickle cell anemia, for regenerating skin on severe burn victims, and even to reboot the immune system for diseases like MS.
But look, those treatments, as incredible as they are really just the beginning. The real buzz, the excitement, is all about what's next. We're talking about the experimental stuff that could completely change how we treat some of the world's most devastating diseases.
For instance, take heart disease. Right now, researchers are figuring out how to use stem cells to repair and regenerate heart muscle after a heart attack. And the goal here isn't just to manage the problem, it's to actually restore heart function. A total game changer. And then, there's the hope for people with spinal cord injuries. I mean, the dream here is to use stem cells to regrow damaged nerve cells, those critical pathways that connect our brain to our body. For someone who's paralyzed, this research is it's an incredible glimmer of hope for restoring function. And it doesn't stop there. What about neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's? Well, stem cells could be a powerful new weapon in that fight. The basic idea is to replace the specific brain cells that are dying off, which could potentially halt or maybe even reverse these awful conditions. A cure for type 1 diabetes? It could be on the table. The research is focused on teaching stem cells how to become brand new, healthy, insulin-producing cells. You could then transplant those into a patient and, in theory, cure the disease at its root. Okay, and all of this is building towards something that sounds like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie. 3D bioprinting organs. Just picture this for a second. Doctors take your stem cells, turn them into a special bio-ink, and then literally 3D print the scaffold of a new organ, layer by layer. After that, the cells would grow into a full-on functional organ perfectly matched to you. No more waiting lists, no more risk of rejection. Wow! All right, so we've talked about the clinic and the cutting-edge lab, but what about uses outside the hospital? This is where things get, well, a little surprising. Which brings me to a question I bet you weren't expecting. Are there stem cells in your face cream?
Okay, so the answer is a little complicated. The key thing to know is that skincare products do not contain living human stem cells. No way. What they do have are stem cell extracts, and they're usually from plants, like special apples or grapes. The idea is that these extracts are packed with stuff that helps stimulate your own skin's repair process and boost collagen. The jury's still out on some of the hard clinical evidence, but it's a really interesting use of the whole concept.
And now for maybe the most unexpected twist in this whole story. Cannabis. Yeah, you heard me right. How on earth could cannabis possibly work with stem cell therapy? Well, believe it or not, researchers are looking into a potential partnership here that actually makes a surprising amount of sense.
So, here's the thinking behind it. We know cannabinoids like CBD are anti-inflammatory. That could create a calmer, better environment for stem cells to get in there and do their repair job. Plus, it might help manage pain during recovery, maybe reducing the need for opioids. And when you're talking about brain conditions, the neuroprotective side of cannabis could shield existing neurons from more damage while the stem cells are busy with repairs. Pretty cool, huh?
So, when you put all of this together, it really points to one thing. The future of medicine is regenerative. So as we start to wrap this up, let's ask, what's next for the body's ultimate repair kit?
I think this quote really nails it. Look, a lot of what we've talked about is still in the experimental phase, for sure. But the potential, it's absolutely massive. We're slowly moving away from just managing symptoms and toward a future of true regeneration and repair. And stem cells, they are right at the heart of that incredible shift.
So I want to leave you with this final thought. The big question really isn't if we can regenerate our bodies anymore. The question is how. How do we harness this incredible power safely? How do we do it effectively? And how do we do it ethically? Figuring that out, well, that's going to define the next generation of medicine.